This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Buying a car shouldn't eat up your week. That's why Carvana made it convenient. Car buying that fits around your life, not the other way around. You can get pre-qualified for an auto loan in just a couple of minutes and browse thousands of quality car options, all within your terms, all online, all on your schedule. Turn car buying into a few clicks and not a full week's endeavor. Finance and buy your car at your convenience on Carvana. Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
Meet the most capable CRV Honda has ever dreamed of. The all-new CRV Trail Sport Hybrid. With all-terrain tires and available enhanced traction control, it's built for wherever the day takes you. Heated front seats and a heated steering wheel, ideal for winter drives and crisp early starts. And with generous cargo space, it's ready for big gear and even bigger getaways. The CRV Trail Sport Hybrid. Learn more at honda.com/CRV.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses are powered by Meta AI, so you can get real-time answers.
Hey, Meta, how bougie is Jade Garden?
It's a trendy spot.
What's a color that pairs with this top?
Consider dark, earthy colors, charcoal or black.
What are some good first date topics?
Consider discussing favorite travel destinations or your favorite books.
Get suggestions, inspiration, and answers from your glasses. Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Iconic style meets Meta AI.
Tossers have thrown it out the door with their behaviour this week. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should absolutely look at themselves in the mirror and wonder what the have they been doing. They're hissing at us and calling us cheats in the Lord's long room, and they have the gall to say, talk to us about the spirit of cricket. Absolute bullshit.
There's a big appeal that's hit him on the pad. He's out. Lions gone. New South Wales are 9 down. Onto Sydney Road, and it's hit a car. I think it's hit a car. What a way to bring up your 50.
All you want is to leave it all behind. Now there is a simple remedy to stay fit for all eternity.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Cricket Unfiltered podcast. I am Menners, and I am here to wrap up day one of the third test from the West Indies. It's being played in Sabina Park in Kingston, Jamaica, and it is a pink ball fixture. The first time Australia have played a day-night test on foreign shores, and they're playing with the pink Duke's ball. And the real standout for this game is that it's Mitchell Starc's 100th test match. He's just the second Australian fast bowler to play 100 test matches. So congratulations to Mitchell Starc. Me and Damien paid tribute to him in the full episode during the week. But what a performance from Starc, a real warrior to get through 100 test matches. And I remember when he made his debut all those years ago, and he was in and out of the side for the first few years, and he was rested for the 2012 Boxing Day test, and he was furious. Well, he's certainly played a lot of test matches since then. All right, now let's talk about the toss and the teams, because a huge announcement from Australia at the toss. They've decided to leave out Nathan Lyon for this game, the first time he hasn't been picked in 12 years when he's been fit. Obviously, he was injured during the 2023 Ashes, but in 2013, that famous test match where Ashton Agar made 97 on debut was the last time Lyon wasn't picked when fit. So that's a long time ago. So quite a shock. And I actually don't know if the selectors have read this pitch correctly. They've picked Scott Boland instead. There was a lot of conjecture in the lead up to this game that it was going to be a very short test match, that the pink ball was going to do a lot, and that the pitch was going to be green and assist the bowlers. And the groundsman allegedly said to Nathan Lyon, "Oh, don't worry, you're going to have this match off. You won't need to bowl much," or something to that effect. And I think actually the selectors might have been foxed here, because the West Indies did pick a spinner. They recalled Warrican, and the pitch did look to turn a bit. And I think during the day, the pitch could assist the spinners, and it's a bit slower than maybe the Australian selectors thought it would be. So I don't know if they got this right. Time will tell, and Scott Boland's a fantastic bowler, and he should do well with the pink ball, but yeah, I probably would have stuck with Nathan Lyon for this game. Looking at the conditions and the way it played today, I think it was probably fine to pick Lyon, and then you've got your three fast bowlers and Bo Webster. So Australia win the... and for the West Indies, they've made some changes, but Warrican, the spinner, came in. They dropped Craig Brathwaite after his 100th Test match, and they dropped Casey Cardy. So some big changes there for the West Indies. Australia won the toss and they elected to bat, and it was very slow going in the first session. Constance and Khawaja were plodding along, and Constance was dropped once in the slips, and then he was out for 17 when the score was 28. This was in the 7th to 17th over. Justin Grieve just got a ball to nip back, hit Constance in front, and he was at LBW. He reviewed it, but it was still out, and that had Australia 1 for 28. And look, a disappointing dismissal for Constance because he looked pretty good. He'd done a lot of hard work. It wasn't easy out there. And Justin Greaves, it seemed to me, Constance just sort of switched off a bit. After facing, Shamar Joseph and Azari Joseph and Jaden Seals, it just felt to me Constance was a bit lazy on that shot because it was not a bad delivery, but he just a fairly innocuous in-swing, and Constance just pushed down the wrong line. So he was out for 17 after spending 53 balls at the crease, and that brought Cameron Green to the crease. And Green and Khawaja negotiated through to lunch, but it was a very slow session for Australia. They only scored 50 runs in the first 2 hours. Green was out LBW, given out LBW before the break, but then it was overturned because on review it was missing leg, so he gets a life there. And Australia goes to the break 1 for 50. Khawaja battled through the first session, and slow going. Australia clearly had the ambition of seeing off the pink new ball, but it's strange because surely it's going to get harder to bat at night. So if you're going to bat first, you kind of want to be positive and keep the scoreboard ticking over while you're under daylight before the lights take effect. So I didn't quite understand the tactics there, but anyway, as usual, Khawaja battled through. Then straight after the break, not straight after the break, when the score was 68, which was not too long after the first break, Khawaja was out caught by Shai Hope after bowling of Shamar Joseph for 23. An absolute ripper of a catch by Shai Hope, diving to his left in front of first slip, and he caught Khawaja for 23 off 92 deliveries. And we've seen the West Indies have their troubles in the field, but this was an absolute terrific catch. And that brought Green and Smith together. And Green and Smith played so well. They put on another very, very good partnership of over 50. They put on a 51-run partnership. A 62-run partnership. My maths is terrible. And it was an excellent partnership from Green and Smith. Smith looked in such good form, and Green battled away. But just before the dinner break, Jaden Seals knocked over Cameron Green with an absolute beauty, almost like a Cummins ball that angled in and moved away and just took out Green's middle and off stump. And he was out for 46 off 108 deliveries. He'd done so well to get to 46, but then just before the break he was out, and that's a real shame because it did just opened the door for the West Indies, brought Head to the crease. So Australia went to tea at 3 for 138. They scored 2 for 88 in that session. Much better session for them. But then after tea, it was just a procession. It was a frenetic last session with total 8 wickets falling, 7 of them being Australian. Australia went from 3 for 157 to all out for 225. Steve Smith came out after the break, and clearly the Australians had thought that the best method of playing against the pink ball under lights was just to, if there's any type of width or any type of, if the ball's at all loose, just throw their hands at it. And Smith, threw the hands at a couple after the main break that went over the slips for 4. And Australia were trying to be really positive. Travis Head wasn't really able to get going, but Smith, when he was on 48 and looking set for another half century, just looked in such good form. He was out to Shamar Joseph, caught by Brandon King at first slip. Smith tried to hit this ball out of Jamaica. I mean, it was there to hit. It was wide. It was full. But Smith just tried to hit it too hard, like he was playing for the Sixers in T20 cricket. So he was out for 48. And from there, as I said, Australia went from 3 for 157 to all out 225. It was like watching T20 cricket at the end there. Australia clearly wanted to bowl under lights to the West Indies, so they were happy to go hell for leather and trying to get runs quickly. Smith was out. And then Webster was out not long after Smith for one. Good delivery by Shamar Joseph. He was caught by Shai Hope. Alex Carey hit a quick fire 21. Pat Cummins hit a quick fire 24. Mitchell Starc was bowled for a duck in his 100th Test match by Jaden Seals, and Hazelwood was the last player out for 4. A couple of highlights from the end of that innings. Pat Cummins hit a few big sixes. Alex Carey hit a couple as well. Travis Head was caught by Anderson Phillip, who was dropped for this game. An absolute rip snorter of a catch, running and diving to his right, and he was out for 20 off the bowling of Justin Greaves. But I did note, and this is interesting, when Phillip took the ball, he then did place the ball on the ground as he landed, and there was a bit of hesitation from Head when he saw the replay as to whether he should leave the pitch or not. And I think if he'd challenged that, there's a good chance it could have been overturned. As we've seen in the series, it's a little bit around interpretation. If the umpire still thinks you're in the motion of catching it, he will give it not out. But if he thinks the catch is complete, maybe it would have gone not out. But it certainly, Phillip did put his hand on the ground. But anyway, excellent catch to dismiss Head. And I guess the other talking point was Jaden Seals and Shamar Joseph both appeared to give send-off to the Aussie batters, especially Seals to Starc when he bowled in for a duck. I'm not sure whether he'll get pulled up for it, but they were denying it in the press conference afterwards. Seals said he was just gesturing to one of his teammates. I'm not sure that's true. It looked like a send-off. So I think the match referee will have a good look at that. The West Indies bowlers were fired up towards the end there. Interesting stuff. So Australia all out for 25 in 70 overs. Top scorer Smith with 48. Green, second top score with 46. And then Cummins with 24, including 3 sixes, the third top score. So a pretty dismal scorecard, you've got to say. Seals 3 for 59. Shamar Joseph 4 for 33. Justin Greaves 3 for 58. The wicket takers for the West Indies. And I have to say, I'm not sure the Australians got their tactics right in this test match so far. A, I think they probably should have stuck with Lyon. And B, their batting, I just think they threw away an opportunity at getting a bigger first innings score. I don't think conditions were quite as difficult as they thought they were. I know Steve Smith spoke afterwards that the ball sped up after the main break when it was under lights. The ball was coming through quicker off the pitch, and we see that in limited overs cricket. But I've seen at the Adelaide Oval, it is not impossible to bat under lights. This Sabina Park pitch is not as soft as some Adelaide pitches we've seen under lights. So I think maybe they've misread the conditions and were a little bit careless, because I think it was the sort of conditions that if you applied yourself, there was more runs there. Just because it's a pink ball, just because it's under lights, I'm not sure it was the sort of conditions that warranted this kind of careless approach. I think Australia could have tried to battle through tonight and get through to tomorrow morning and continue batting and get as many runs as they can. So I just think they might have misread the conditions, because in Adelaide they often leave a bit more moisture in the pitch to keep the ball nice and hard. But over here they haven't done that. It's quite a hard pitch, and we saw Warrican get some turn. So Australia might have been better off battling through and just batting normally, rather than being so cavalier and trying to bowl tonight. So, yeah, very, very, very strange. And then in the 13-over session, in the 9-over session that Australia had, it was, I think they could have bowled 13, but because of time, they just got through 9. Kevlon Anderson was bowled by Mitchell Starc for 3. It was Mitchell Starc's 76th pink ball wicket. He's taken 76 wickets in, I think, 15 pink ball games. So he's an absolute genius with the pink ball. He takes wickets at around 17 with the pink ball. So just a phenomenon. And they reduced the West Indies to 1 for 16. Brandon King is not out 8. Roston Chase not out 3. Interestingly, Mikhail Lewis and John Campbell, the two openers scheduled to bat, were both injured in the field and couldn't take their positions opening the batting, so King and Kevlon Anderson had to bat. So Kevlon Anderson's on debut and thrust into opening because of these injuries, but Mikhail Lewis injured his knee and John Campbell was hit when fielding in close. So yeah, Starc bowled 4 overs, 1 for 3. Hazelwood, Cummins and Boland all had a crack as well. But, in the 9 overs, I think Australia would have probably hoped for sort of a minimum 2 wickets in those 9 overs. But Starc was unplayable. Brandon King, 8 not out of 26 deliveries, looked pretty good. But you'd have to say, after day one, honours are pretty even. But just overall, I think Australia have been spooked. I think they might have got sucked into all the pre-match hype about how crazy it's going to be with the Duke's ball, the pink Duke's ball, and playing in these new lights, and maybe just got their tactics a little wrong. Look, we'll find out tomorrow, but the West Indies will be batting in the daytime, and we'll just see how they're able to bat under daylight, because the pitch is not up and down like in the first 2 test matches. So unless the ball's doing something, it's actually probably the best batting conditions we've seen this whole series. So as I said, just a bit perplexed with the Australian tactics, and should they've tried to get through and notch a bigger first innings score, maybe they should have. All right, well, that's my wrap of day one from the 3rd test in Sabina Park. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'll be back after day 2.
Thanks for listening to Cricket Unfiltered. An ad-free version is available on the Patreon website. All the information is in the episode notes, as well as ways to get in touch for sponsorship opportunities or to send in your hot cricket takes. If you can rate and review the show on your favourite podcast app, that would be much appreciated.
This is a Piccolo podcast production.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.